Noah, as the headline says, is in the fight of his life as he recovers on The Young and the Restless. It's so touch and go that Sharon has been torn between supporting Mariah and waiting by Noah's bedside. And all of Noah's loved ones have gathered to hold vigil while they wait to see what happens. Wait, no, strike that last one. That's actually not what's happening at all. Claire's there, the cousin he's never met. But there's no Faith or Summer, both of whom are his actual sisters. There's at least an excuse for Mariah's absence. But what about his grandparents? Are Nikki and Victor too busy? Isn't family everything? Shouldn't Victor be at the hospital shouting at the poor doctors to do everything they can and more to make this right, damn it? And then there's Allie. Supposedly, she and Noah are still together. But how serious can it be if she's not by his bedside as he fights for his life? Maybe she's worried she won't like his new face once it's revealed. Somehow, we doubt that. So yeah, we can definitely see Tessa catching his eye again when he wakes up and realizes his girlfriend has been MIA. And all of this is driving quite a few fans crazy. As Di puts it on X, Claire being involved in Noah's story while his sisters and other family members are nowhere to be found is an example of everything wrong with this show. We don't know that we'd declare it quite an embodiment of everything wrong with the show, but it is certainly baffling how isolated Noah is, especially in a family like the Newmans. And yes, according to spoilers, this week Victoria and Nikki will finally make it out to Los Angeles too. But at this point, it could be too little, too late to win fans back over. Hello everyone! Welcome back to my channel, Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching. So let's dive into today's video. On The Young and the Restless, the LA storyline gets more mysterious with every episode. Now that Kyle spotted Holden and Sienna engaging in what looked to be a heated argument, he's on the trail for information. He's never trusted Holden and wants to protect Claire from him in whatever way he can. Kyle went to Sienna's club and tried to pump her for info on Holden and Audra. She didn't say very much until the end of the episode. On Friday's episode of The Young and the Restless, Kyle went to Sienna's nightclub, the Shadow Room, hoping to dig up dirt on Holden. When he entered the club, Sienna was leaving a voicemail for her husband, Mitch, saying this was the third time she'd called him, and he was supposed to be home 2 days ago. Something important happened that he needed to know about, and she asked him to call her back. We know she's referring to Noah's car crash, which, coincidentally, happened a day or two ago. Was he involved somehow? Also, did Kyle overhear what Sienna said to Mitch on the phone? If he did, then let's hope he remembers the message. It may prove to be important next week, so maybe we'll get a flashback of that scene, especially if Nick or another one of Noah's loved ones asks Kyle what the message was. Sienna didn't tell Kyle very much about Holden. The only juicy tidbit she gave him was, if it's any consolation, Holden is eventually going to get bored with Claire and move on, because that man is definitely not the relationship kind. Kyle figured Sienna knew more about Holden than she was willing to admit, so he moved on to another person he wanted answers about, Audra. It feels like everything always circles back to Audra on The Young and the Restless, since we still don't know what nasty secret she and Holden are keeping. We already know Sienna doesn't like Audra, so when Kyle spoke her name, she immediately tried to end the conversation, telling him she was busy and had no intention of talking about either Holden or Audra. A minute later, Mitch called Sienna back, and she quickly changed her mind. She told Kyle, "I'll think about giving you something you can work with. Come back later tonight." What information is she going to give him? Why wouldn't she tell him anything before Mitch called? Does she assume Mitch will tell her he's coming home that night, and then he can talk to Kyle himself? Apparently, Mitch knows Audra too. Does he know Holden's and Audra's secret? If he does, would he be willing to tell it to a complete stranger? We can't imagine so. It feels like this Mitch character may be shady. And the only way he will cough up the secret to Kyle is if Kyle gives him something in return. Could that be money or something else? Possibly something sinister? Is Kyle getting in over his head? We'll have to wait until next week to find out. The Young and the Restless spoilers update for Monday, October 27th, reveals that Tessa Porter's bedroom desires will bubble up while Phyllis Summer's destiny terrifies Danny Romalotti. At the athletic club, Kane Ashby will seek Adam Newman's help getting in touch with Victor Newman, but it'll just result in more bickering between them. Afterward, Adam and Chelsea Lawson will discuss Connor Newman not seeming very comfortable with his latest therapist, so they'll discuss getting him a new one. Back with Kane, he'll break the news to Lily Winters that his AI program was stolen, so he'll point to Phyllis and Victor as his top suspects. Lily won't be happy about Kane's dangerous program falling out of his hands, but he'll insist they'll get rid of it once they find it again. Meanwhile, Tessa will dream about falling into bed with Daniel Romalotti Jr. until a police officer shows up to arrest Mariah Copeland for attempted murder. The nightmare will leave Tessa feeling uneasy when she awakens on Monday's Y&R episode, so she'll decide to call Daniel over for breakfast. At the coffee house, Daniel will remove his sunglasses and face Phyllis' questions since he'll look terrible. Danny will get in on this grilling session since Daniel's parents will realize he's hungover after a night of supporting Tessa. Phyllis will basically fear Daniel is playing games with his own heart, especially since she'll suspect he's off to see Tessa again following her phone call. After Phyllis and Danny discuss their worries regarding Daniel, Danny will worry about Phyllis's next. Phyllis will insist she's finally going to win this time and will mention something about destiny. That destiny will set off some alarm bells for Danny when he realizes Victor has been texting Phyllis, who'll prepare for a meeting at the ranch. Danny will admit he's terrified for Phyllis, but she'll be as confident as ever in her grand plans. Back with Daniel, he'll join Tessa for breakfast in her suite and will get updates on her dream from earlier. Tessa won't know if guilt sparked the dream or if maybe she had some sort of premonition. Although Tessa will imply that she intends to stay faithful to Mariah as long as she's married, she won't be sure how much longer that marriage is going to last. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Daniel may hold out hope for his own future with Tessa, but will he actually get one? The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that we've got a Halloween preview for you, so fans can expect some dirty tricks, sweet treats, and spooky twists. The October 31st episode will bring some fun moments, as well as some shocking news. So let's dive in and discuss all the drama. For starters, Kyle Abbott will pull out all the stops for Harrison Abbott. Harrison has been working hard on his costume and is anxiously awaiting his dad's return home, so Kyle won't want to let him down. It sounds like Kyle will make it back to Genoa City in plenty of time for a celebration with Harrison. This father-son reunion should lead to some cute Halloween scenes as Kyle makes the night extra special for Harrison. Meanwhile, Claire Newman will catch Holden Novak by surprise and leave him more intrigued by her than ever. Y&R spoilers say Claire will let Holden see a new version of her, so that sounds like a clever way of saying she'll don a costume of her own. Holden and Claire may be gearing up for some Halloween party fun, especially if they head back to the Shadow Room. Although Holden may be a little wary about hanging around Sienna Bacall again in Claire's presence, he may go along with the idea to avoid more suspicion. Besides, Y&R needs to make the most of that shiny new nightclub set and use it as much as possible. On another note, Halloween will take a disturbing turn for Sharon Newman, who'll go looking for answers. Sharon will plan to do whatever it takes to uncover the truth behind Noah Newman's car crash, but she may get on someone's bad side in the process. Some danger is on the way for Sharon next, so stay tuned for updates on the threat she's about to face. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Sharon could find herself in need of a rescue, so Nick Newman might step up for her when it counts. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Sharon Newman will land in grave danger as she follows Noah Newman's trail into a deadly situation. Ever since Sharon arrived in Los Angeles and learned Noah had been in an awful wreck, she's been a mess of emotions. Sharon has been through far too many hospitalizations related to her children's car crashes, but this one's a little different since it wasn't a simple accident. There's a bigger story lurking underneath all this, so Sharon has questions that need to be answered. Nick Newman has been trying to figure things out through conversations with Sienna Bacall, but he's not really getting anywhere yet. It'll soon be Sharon's turn to dive deeper into whatever trouble Noah was mixed up in that nearly got him eliminated. Detective Burrow is shady and clearly not giving Noah's parents all the facts, but he seems right about the part where Noah was intentionally run off the road. Someone could easily try to do the same thing to Sharon if she gets too close to the truth. Then again, Sharon could be targeted another way once her hunt for answers heats up. The point is that Sharon will indeed face some risky circumstances based on Y&R spoilers. We'll see Sharon attempt to make sense of what happened to Noah and land in a scary situation as a result. Will Sharon just barely escape her own grim fate? Could this lead to Sharon crossing paths with Sienna's husband, Mitch Bacall? Whatever the case, Nick is never far behind when Sharon's in jeopardy. There may be an opportunity for Nick to ride to the rescue somehow, depending on how it all goes down. Sharon's dangerous ordeal will kick off on October 31st, so Y&R could be gearing up for a stunning Halloween cliffhanger. The Young and the Restless spoilers say some troubling news is on the way, so stay tuned for updates on what's ahead for Sharon. Things are heating up in the Young and Restless spoilers preview for the week of October 27th. Furious that someone has stolen his AI program, Kane pays a visit to Jack and Diane. "I came to warn you, Jack, about a potential and very serious threat to Jabot," Kane tells them. How will Jack and Diane react to his news? Meanwhile, Phyllis finally gets her meeting with the great Victor Newman after she lied to Kane through her teeth, insisting she didn't steal his coveted AI program. What Phyllis doesn't realize is that Kane doesn't trust her one bit and has already hired a private investigator to follow her every move. Or does she? "I've stolen Kane's AI program. I want to make a deal with you. Are you interested?" Phyllis asks Victor. Considering how badly Victor wants to use it to destroy Jack Abbott, she may have found a big fish on her hook. At the Genoa City Athletic Club, Chelsea arrives just in time to see Billy take a swing at Adam. Sure, these two have been at each other's throats for years, and Adam once cheated with Chelsea while she was with Billy. But what has happened this time to make them cause a public scene? Adam looks up to see Chelsea at the very same moment Billy catches sight of her walking in, both men clearly stunned by her arrival. How will they explain what has just happened? Get a sneak peek at some of the drama coming up this week on Y&R in the preview video below, and share your own predictions of what's coming up in the comments. And don't forget to check out our spoilers gallery for a look at what's next on all the soaps the week of October 27th. The Young and the Restless devoted a show to the bachelor and bachelorette parties for Danny and Cricket. But the real star of the episode was Phyllis Summers, played by Michelle Stafford, as her character's neuroses were on full display. For her performance as a woman who's a mess and magnificent all at the same time, Soap Central bestows Performer of the Week honors on the 3-time Daytime Emmy winner. You can't blame Phyllis for stumbling upon Danny and Cricket's respective parties as they bid adieu to the single life. After all, she lives at the Genoa City Athletic Club, the site of the galas. In fact, most of the big parties on The Young and the Restless take place there. And you truly can't blame Phyllis for going from 0 to 60 as she went into attack mode on Cricket. This is who Phyllis is, and we wouldn't have it any other way. Stafford plays Phyllis as a woman who makes no apologies, as she dares her adversaries to call her out on her antics. Phyllis plays the wounded party better than anyone, and she's never been one to let little things like facts alter her mindset. Phyllis truly believes that she's the wronged party. With a tone of bravado and spite, Phyllis conveniently leaves out her misdeeds when she's on the attack. We knew we were in for a treat when Phyllis gave Michael, played by Christian LeBlanc, a hard time about her presence at the GKC. If she was going to snark at a friend, then imagine what she'd do to Cricket. "I've made peace with this gross excuse for a marriage that Danny and the bug are so excited about," Phyllis groused at Michael. The attorney noted her choice of words indicated otherwise. Stafford has always embraced Phyllis's quick-witted nature, and the actress shines when the writers hand her lines like, "I happened to see this, I guess, bachelorette party. I mean, seriously, this is sad. He's a rock star. There aren't even strippers," Phyllis quipped, adding that Cricket was beige. When Phyllis quipped, "You are not the boss of me," after Michael said goodbye to her, we knew Phyllis was going to barge her way into the jazz lounge, where Cricket's party was taking place. Lauren denied Phyllis when she tried to grab a glass of champagne, but that didn't stop Phyllis from firing off some cracks at her adversary. "White? Really?" Phyllis quipped at Cricket's party dress, insinuating the bride shouldn't wear that particular color at the ceremony. Stafford played Phyllis as genuinely offended when Lauren called her a heat-seeking bitch when it comes to Christine. She refused to give even an inch. As far as Phyllis was concerned, Cricket was the one who upended her life and not the other way around. Stafford upped the stakes in terms of Phyllis's neurotic state of mind by overreacting to Christine using the word crazy to describe Phyllis's choices in life. After a blackout hit, partygoers assumed Phyllis was behind the lights going out. Danny asking Phyllis if she had caused the power outage caused her to crumble. Initially, Phyllis didn't want to hear what Danny had to say, but then she wondered if he was going to say he'd seen the light about Christine. Stafford energizes Phyllis with batteries that never die. She just keeps on going. Phyllis often professes innocence so steadfastly that her opponents on The Young and the Restless end up backing down. However, Danny pointed out that she had once put an octopus on Paul and Christine's honeymoon bed, which Phyllis, of course, promptly denied. Her back to Danny, but facing the audience, Stafford brought a look to Phyllis's face that seemed to read, "Oops, yeah, I did do that, didn't I?" Phyllis didn't give an inch to any of her detractors on The Young and the Restless. Only when Danny met her with patience and understanding did Phyllis's facade break. "Christine called me crazy," Phyllis told Danny as her voice cracked. "I think she's right." Phyllis went on to say that it was being imprisoned by Martin that damaged her psyche. "I'm a fool, aren't I, for holding on to someone who let go of me a long time ago," Phyllis said to her ex. "Aren't I?" Danny's continued patience with Phyllis helped calm her down, but Stafford still brought pathos to the scene she had with her ex by telling him she wished him well, even though she'd never liked Christine. "You're going to be okay," Phyllis assured herself in private as she tried to catch her breath. Most of us edit ourselves in daily life when we want to tell people exactly what we think of them. That's why watching Stafford's Phyllis speak her mind is one of our favorite things about The Young and the Restless. Bravo to Stafford for turning in a tour de force at the parties for Danny and Cricket. On The Young and the Restless, Nick and Mitch haven't met yet, but something tells us that when they do, we're going to be in for a treat now that we know Mitch is Sienna's husband. Nick met her on Thursday's episode. She gave him some answers about the last time she saw Noah. Did Mitch run him off the road? If he did, then he will become Nick's next enemy. On Thursday's episode of The Young and the Restless, Nick bumped into Kyle, Claire, and Holden, who are all coincidentally staying at the same LA hotel. That alone is strange, as fans have pointed out, considering that LA is such a big city. It was a lucky coincidence for Nick, since Sienna was there, having a mysterious talk with Holden. She returned to her club and invited Nick to join her, since he had questions for her about Noah. She told Nick that Mitch is her husband. He visited Noah at his London club, and he gave Noah the idea to open a club in LA. Sienna said he's Noah's friend, but was she telling the truth? Is Mitch really a shady character who poses a threat to Noah? Could he be the reason Noah is in the hospital, fighting for his life? If that's the case, then Nick is going to go into Papa Bear mode, and watch out, Mitch! Fans of The Young and the Restless are wondering whether Nick is going to become involved with Sienna. He hasn't been with anyone in a long time. It looked like he might reunite with Sharon after their kiss in Nice, France, but nothing has happened yet. Right now, Nick doesn't know what to think of Sienna. He fired off questions for her, one after the other in rapid-fire succession, like a homicide detective. That might have put her on edge, since she didn't give him a straight answer when he asked her why she didn't answer his call the other day. She let it go to voicemail. What could she be hiding? And if Mitch is indeed her husband, then where is he, and why haven't we met him yet? If he caused Noah's accident, maybe she knows, and she's protecting him by keeping quiet. Nick hasn't had any arch-enemies in a while. One of his most formidable enemies on The Young and the Restless was Matt Clark. Matt made Nick's blood boil, and Nick needs another enemy of that caliber. Matt was his rival for Sharon, who he raped at one point. It would be dramatic and soapy if Mitch Bacall could become Nick's next Matt Clark. Matt hurt someone Nick loves. If Mitch did the same to one of Nick's other loved ones, then Nick will make sure there is hell to pay. But let's hope Nick goes up against Mitch, not Victor. Victor has enough foes like Jack and Kane. Nick needs his own enemy. If it turns out to be Mitch, then we're sure to be in for a fun ride on The Young and the Restless, because we don't know what Nick will be up against. Is this the first time Mitch has ever endangered someone's life, or has he done it to others in the past? If Noah suffers permanent brain damage, then we can only imagine how furious Nick will be at the culprit who caused the crash. If that culprit was Mitch, then what possible reason could he have for running Noah off the road? Did Noah have evidence of something shadowy that Mitch did? Did Mitch stop him from going to the police with it? And where does Holden fit into all this? Could he be an old friend of Mitch's who may have been involved somehow? If so, then Nick needs to get to the bottom of it. Let's see Nick and Mitch become the next great pair of Y&R enemies. Joshua Morrow, Nick's portrayer, will rock those scenes, especially if Mitch and Holden were involved. That means Nick will have two enemies to deal with. Get them, Nick! Jack goes into defense mode as a dangerous AI deal threatens to wipe out Jabot, and a cryptic warning reveals the enemy may already be inside. The Young and the Restless heats up as Jack Abbott realizes that Jabot's biggest threat isn't coming from outside the company, it's coming from someone he once trusted. With Kane's stolen AI now in Phyllis's hands and Victor circling, Jack prepares for a high-stakes showdown to protect his family's legacy before it's too late. This is what Soap Hub is looking forward to seeing play out next week as things get spooky in Genoa City. Phyllis has crossed a line, even for her. After stealing Kane's AI, she turns to Victor with a bold offer. Whether it's partnership or blackmail remains to be seen, but one thing is certain. The move puts Jack and his company directly in the line of fire. This isn't just business, it's personal. And Jack knows how devastating Victor with that technology could be, especially if he uses it against the Abbotts. As Phyllis and Victor negotiate, Jack receives a cryptic and unsettling message. It's vague but threatening, and could be tied to the AI crisis spiraling out of control. Jack has seen his share of corporate warfare, but this feels different. This message makes it clear someone has already chosen their target, and Jabot is the first piece they plan to knock off the board. Jack isn't backing down. With the weight of his legacy also tied to the AI debacle, the stakes have never been higher. He's ready to face the problems, no matter how difficult it gets or who he has to step over to succeed. Daniel's night with Tessa raises questions, Kane hunts for answers, and Lily wants a dangerous AI destroyed. Will she get what she wants? In the Monday, October 27th, episode of The Young and the Restless, spoiler photos show Daniel facing his parents, who are likely questioning their son about Tessa. Meanwhile, Kane confronts Adam before sitting down with Lily. Daniel must be at Crimson Lights to down some much-needed coffee after getting drunkish with Tessa. And look who he ends up talking to, his parents. Danny and Phyllis know that Daniel is back from Boston and will probably ask him about how it went. But will Daniel tell them about how he and Tessa drank wine and whiskey and then shared a steamy kiss? How much will he reveal? According to the teasers, Daniel will connect with Tessa. They are supposed to set some ground rules. What does that mean? Adam and Chelsea must feel like they are on top of the world. They published a hit piece on Kane and undoubtedly have more lined up. If they don't keep the conversation professional, they might discuss Connor, whom we haven't seen in a minute. Currently, they are basking in the knowledge that they are on the same page. However, teasers reveal that Adam and Chelsea face an unexpected challenge. What is it? And does it have anything to do with what's about to happen between Adam and Billy on Tuesday? Kane is at the GCAC and makes a beeline for Adam and Chelsea's table. He may want to know if they're planning any further hit pieces on him, so he can tell the lawyers he's ready to sick on the Newmans. Ultimately, his primary agenda is centered on discovering who stole his prized AI superweapon. In his eyes, Phyllis has to be a person of interest. Another is Victor. Maybe that's why Kane is talking to Adam. Finally, Kane doesn't talk to Adam for long because he's there to meet up with Lily. She is trying to get him to hand over the AI program to her so she can destroy it. Poor Kane. He is going to have to break it to Lily that he no longer has the AI weapon. How do you think Lily will react to that news? What does she really want? Money, power, fame, or respect? This week's slow-burning storyline involves Phyllis's endgame on The Young and the Restless. She stole Kane's so-called AI program so she can take over everyone's company. Finally, she'll achieve the power, wealth, and success she has been striving for. But then what? Is this why Phyllis stole Kane's AI program? Because she has a grudge against Billy still? The two have a complicated history that involved them living together. Billy found out that Phyllis slept with Nick, so he seduced her daughter, Summer. Phyllis and Billy broke up, and she reconnected with her daughter. But she still has a bridge to burn when it comes to him. She doesn't understand that he'll never come back to her side again. She's also jealous of his relationship with Sally for some reason. Phyllis could have stolen Kane's AI program to get Billy back. She might also have wanted to entangle herself with Kane. It's clear that these two have chemistry. Their partnership could become more personal and less business-oriented over time. But she also has a bone to pick with him. Kane went against their initial plans, so Phyllis is taking matters into her own hands. Phyllis sat at Crimson Lights instead of at home, plotting her next move. She boldly declared that she would use Kane's AI program to take down everyone else's businesses. This is a clear pattern in Phyllis's life. She's using these men to get what she wants. She doesn't necessarily want them. She just wants to chew them up and spit them back out. Right now, she wants to utilize Kane's AI program to achieve wealth and success. She also wants to prove to everyone that she's a powerful force to be reckoned with. For much of her life, she was written as too unhinged or chaotic to work with, and they're right. Ultimately, Phyllis's goal is to utilize technology to dismantle Chancellor, Jabot, Newman Enterprises, and every other business in town. This is her power play, as she outwits and outplays Kane. She bats her eyelashes and flirts with men like Billy and Kane to get what she wants. She might charm or seduce them a bit, so they can cower in fear. We've seen Kane cower many times by now. Then, she will have emotional leverage over them. She's doing this with Kane by using his program while he's not looking. And she'll end up with more power, leverage, and a dangerous AI program that she can use for whatever she wants. This slow-burning storyline will prove that her plan is more risky than it's worth. Here is your weekly recap of The Young and the Restless for the episodes that aired October 20th through 24th, 2025. This week on The Young and the Restless, Danny and Christine enjoyed their respective bachelor and bachelorette parties with close family and friends. Phyllis crashed Christine's party, where the ladies exchanged harsh words. The guests suspected Phyllis when an unexpected blackout occurred, but they later learned construction had caused it. During a heartfelt conversation with Danny, Phyllis admitted that she wasn't all right. Once alone, Phyllis broke down in sobs and told herself she'd be okay. Lily requested that Kane prove himself by handing his AI program over to her to destroy. Phyllis hacked into Arabesque's servers and stole the AI program. Kane confronted Phyllis about stealing his property, but she denied it and pointed the finger at Victor. Later, Kane put a tail on Phyllis, while Phyllis contacted Victor to request an urgent meeting. After a night of drinking, Tessa kissed Daniel and he responded. Daniel blurted out that he was falling in love with Tessa. Tessa vowed to fight for her marriage. Mariah called Sharon and confided that she was getting worse. Unaware of Noah's accident, Mariah asked if Sharon could visit, but she abruptly hung up when Sharon hesitated to respond. Sharon grappled with not being able to help either of her troubled children. Mariah faced off with a vision of Ian, who taunted that she'd never escape the darkness in her. Mariah swore she'd never be like Ian, and he vanished. Claire sensed that there was more to Holden's history with Sienna, but he remained tight-lipped. Nick and Kyle spotted Claire and Holden with Sienna. Nick grilled Sienna about what Noah had been doing the night of his accident, but she only provided innocuous details about Noah researching clubs in LA. Nick was convinced Sienna was holding something back. Sienna dodged Kyle's questions about Holden, but she considered giving him dirt on Audra. Claire became emotional when she visited Sharon and Noah in the hospital. Claire thawed toward Kyle when he expressed sympathy about the visit triggering memories of Cole. Holden demanded to know what Sienna knew about Noah. Billy opposed Sally hiring Audra and urged Sally to get Jill's blessing before finalizing Audra's contract. The young and the restless character Catherine Chancellor got a shout-out last week when Kane referred to the late great-grand dame of Genoa City. Now, on the anniversary of her birth, Kay's portrayer, Jean Cooper, is being fondly remembered by her Y&R pals. The young and the restless, Catherine the Great, Thinking about hashtag Gene Cooper, hash today and every day, happy heavenly birthday, at young and restly, ace, bees, Majwayar, 53, always in mist, never forgotten. Kate Linder, who played Esther Valentine, Catherine's longtime companion maid and friend in Genoa City, posted on Instagram. Castmates chimed in with their own well wishes to the great lady on her 97th birthday. Miss Jean so much, Laura Lee Bell posted. Such a perfect twosome you two were. Miss Jean so much. Kate, this picture is so beautiful, you, wrote Tamara Clatterbuck. Tracy Bregman and Diana Barton also commented on Linder's post with well wishes for Cooper on her special day. Cooper joined the show in 1974, the year after its premiere. She played wealthy, alcoholic Catherine Chancellor, a woman desperately afraid of losing her husband, Philip. That fear came true when Philip took up with Jill, who was Catherine's companion. The two women's bitter feud was on, and it escalated when Catherine, while drunk, drove Philip to his death. The two fought over other men, and their rivalry took on a new level after Jill's teen son, Philip III, returned to the canvas in 1986. Philip III impregnated Nina with their son, Philip IV. After Philip III's presumed death, Jill and Kay became obsessed with Philip IV, but they found a formidable opponent in Nina. In the late 1990s, Catherine and Jill became embroiled in a bitter battle over who owned the Chancellor estate, as Jill found papers bequeathing it to her. After a prolonged fight, the two women began sharing the house. Much to their surprise, Philip III returned from the dead and explained why he'd faked his passing. Catherine was believed dead when her doppelganger, Marge, dressed in Kay's clothes and driving her car, was killed in an accident. In time, the real Catherine returned. Cooper's last scene was in 2013 when Kay went up the stairs of the mansion to retire for the evening. She turned to Jill and said simply, "Good night." Soap Central remembers Jean Cooper on her 97th birthday and remembers fondly her contributions to The Young and the Restless. The Young and the Restless played a lot of mind games this week, with characters old and new, leading to an unforgettable week of dynamic performances. We're anxious for even more specifics as to what Mariah did during her business trip, but we learned this week why Mariah did what she did. The confused woman has checked into a clinic in Boston to get some help for herself. Mariah has been traumatized ever since she got back to Genoa City last summer. We've learned in dribs that she had too much to drink, connected with a mystery man on some level, and had a flashback to painful memories with Ian Ward. That prompted Mariah to nearly suffocate the man with a pillow. We're wondering if there's more to the story, but we got insights into Mariah's frame of mind. The damage Ian did to her when he raised her in his cult has done long-term harm to Mariah's self-esteem. Bravo to Wise for his return as Ian. Yes, we know he really is alive, but Mariah believes he's dead, even though he occupies a lot of real estate in her fragile mind. That didn't stop her from conjuring up an image of the baddie. Imagining tormentors from your past must be hereditary, as Sharon once did the same with Cameron Kirsten. Evil Ian had a field day messing with Mariah's psyche. Wise plays the controlling Ian with such style. Who needs to be involved with a narcissist when you have Ian trying to control you and make you feel insignificant? Ian acts like he's your best friend, but he's really dropping little bombs that destroy Mariah's self-esteem. If Ian can do this kind of damage as a figment of Mariah's mind, imagine what Ian can do if and when he returns in the flesh. We get a chill up our spines every time Ian says, "Oh, Nicole," when he greets Nikki. You know he's up to no good. Y&R Costume Mandy line has bedazzled us with Genoa City fashions. But dressing Ian as simple black and white as a priest? Brilliant! Mariah ended up confessing way too much to Father Ian. Kudos to Line for creating Sienna Bacall's look. There's quite an edge to Y&R's newest mystery lady. Cricket should have asked Daniel to get his mother to stay away, not just from her wedding to Danny, but also from her bachelorette party. Daniel was out of town with Tessa, trying to help the lost Mariah, but it may not have done any good anyway. Phyllis was determined to crash Cricket's get-together in the jazz lounge, and that's just what she did. It's been decades since Phyllis and Christine had their showdown in a courtroom in which all her machinations were exposed. As a result, Phyllis has never been able to let go of her animosity towards Christine, who was part of the legal team that cost Phyllis everything. Of course, Phyllis hated Chris before she had even ever met her, as she was Danny's wife. Phyllis barged into the jazz club, determined to ruin Cricket's party. She made fun of the fact that there weren't many attendees and blasted the bug for ruining her life. Thank goodness, Lauren stepped up and pulled Phyllis aside. Lauren giving her pal a good talking to, and Danny doing the same, caused Phyllis to take a long, good, hard look at herself, and the redhead didn't like what she saw. When Danny sang his song, "Let Me Into Your Heart," to Christine when they were surrounded by all their friends, Phyllis felt like the ultimate outsider. Poor Phyllis. Later in the week, Phyllis showed just what a chameleon she is by donning a purple robe and acting seductively towards Kane. He knows she knows he knows she took the artificial intelligence software that can bring down everyone in Genoa City. They each have an ally they're checking in with for help. The tensions between these two are riding high. Phyllis may have played her cards close to the vest this week with Kane, but two women did not: Abby and Lily. Abby blasted Kane for ultimately being responsible for the death of 3 men on his estate last summer. Those men include Damien, who was Lily's new love, also Carter, who had a deranged loyalty to Kane, and Chance, the man who was the father to Abby's son, Dominic. Whether Chance's death serves a greater plot or storyline coming up remains to be seen. No matter what, though, Chance's untimely and preventable death should never, ever be forgotten. Brava to Abby for making sure Kane doesn't get away with not feeling guilty. We saw it coming. Daniel and Tessa ended up locking lips after Mariah yet again pushed Tessa away. Put Daniel and Tessa together after an exhausting trip, mix with alcohol, and surprise, surprise, she went in for the kiss. It's seldom mentioned that this is a triangle in which 2 people of the same sex are involved, but they're not just involved. Mariah and Tessa are deeply in love. Phyllis may not be doing a good job of running her own life, but she nailed it when she said that Daniel stands to get hurt. Then again, we took a second look at that kiss that they shared at the bottom of the stairs at the Genoa City Athletic Club. Sizzle! By the time Mariah returns, she may find that Tessa has moved on. The drama comes from watching them make their way back to each other. Last June, many Genoa City citizens traveled to France to meet the enigmatic Aristotle Dumas, who turned out to be their old pal Kane. Now many of the show's cast, Sharon, Nick, Noah, Kyle, Claire, and Holden, are in Los Angeles. It's too bad that the show hasn't been out there doing location shooting. The LA-based serial wouldn't have far to travel, but it's common knowledge that budgets are much tighter than the days when Nina and Chase went to Los Angeles and truly saw Hollywood in all the sights of sunny Southern California. The addition of the enigmatic Sienna has been a shot in the arm for the show, and we expect things to get even more intriguing when Roger Howarth arrives on the scene. How does all of this tie in with Noah's accident? We're intrigued. Maybe it's the fact that the characters are constantly walking through a maze of shrubbery, but the trip to LA has captured our attention. We hear more characters from Genoa City are coming to Los Angeles next week. Talking to oneself on daytime drama is soap opera 101. It helps when what a person is saying has some kind of dramatic impact. After Esther left Phyllis at Crimson Lights because she had a date, Phyllis said to herself that she had a date too with her laptop so that she could steal Kane's AI program. "I will hold the cards and I will call the shots and everyone in this town will answer to me," Phyllis quietly and confidently said. "And I will get everything I deserve." Tune in to find out about the drama happening in Genoa City. The Young and the Restless Spoilers Weekly Update for October 27 to 31 tease that Tessa and Daniel set some ground rules as Kyle interrogates Sienna. Plus, Nikki and Victor arrive in Los Angeles as Noah's future hangs in the balance. Tune in next week so you can catch all of the action in Genoa City. Monday, October 20th, 2025. Episode number 13235. Nate received a surprise invitation that put him in the middle of an unexpected opportunity at Danny's bachelor party. Meanwhile, Cricket's bachelorette party took an unexpected turn when old tensions and unresolved emotions resurfaced, threatening to derail the evening's celebration. Phyllis crashed the party and plotted her revenge with her trademark mix of charm and manipulation, setting the stage for yet another risky scheme that could either win her redemption or destroy what little trust she had left. Tuesday, October 21st, 2025. Episode number 13236. Kane tried to make amends with Devon. The meeting quickly became a test of pride and forgiveness, with both men realizing that their shared history still carried deep emotional scars. Meanwhile, Tessa made a bold move that challenged her comfort zone and shifted the balance in her complicated relationship with Daniel. At the same time, Phyllis placed a risky bet that blended personal ambition with business desperation, proving once again that she was willing to gamble everything, no matter the cost. Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025, episode number 13237. Sharon and Nick spent the day worried sick about Noah's fragile condition, their fears intensifying as they waited for any sign of progress. Mariah was confronted by the emotional wreckage of her past, forcing her to face memories of Ian she had long buried in an attempt to heal. Meanwhile, Daniel found himself standing at a moral crossroads with Tessa after they kissed passionately. Thursday, October 23rd, 2025, episode number 13238. Nick met Sienna under tense and surprising circumstances that raised new questions about her connection to his son's accident. Phyllis caught Kane off guard with her unexpected mix of vulnerability and deception, leaving him unsure whether to trust or challenge her motives. Meanwhile, Kyle continued to dig for dirt on Holden, desperate to uncover the truth behind his rival's intentions toward Claire. Friday, October 24th, 2025, episode number 13239. Phyllis and Kane reached an uneasy understanding after days of suspicion and half-truths, though neither fully trusted the other's intentions. Kyle grilled Sienna for information about Holden, determined to expose whatever she knew, but she proved more guarded than he anticipated. Meanwhile, Sally went out on a limb for Audra at work. Sally's loyalty came at a price, one that could jeopardize both her career and her partnership with Billy.